All right, folks, Gene Gallen here with the Chatham Journal. I got Ashibo Rojas of the Chatham News and Record. Want to make sure that we are fully online. You can watch this or listen to it. We're on Facebook Live on Chatham Journal. You'll also find us on X as well as YouTube. Second week in a row that we've had over 1,000 of you watch us, so greatly appreciate. Here's the agenda for today. As all of you know, Chatham County High School basketball is underway. There's a lot of activity going on. There were a lot of games going on. There were games last night. And again, we're going to cover all the teams here in Chatham County. Also, as usual, Chatham County High School basketball power rankings. We also tonight have a big games coming up between Seaforth and Northwood. We'll talk a little bit about that. That may affect the power rankings. We'll see about that. And as usual, the paper, the Chatham News and Record, comes out on Thursday. So you can pick that up. Shibo's going to let you know what's in the paper. We're back this week also with a Shibo's Athlete of the Week. We didn't have an Athlete of the Week last week, but Shibo's back with an Athlete of the Week. So that's coming up. And, of course, there's high school wrestling, swimming, and indoor track. Also want to remind folks, hey, you can follow Ashibo on X at Ashibo R38. He will be at the games tonight at the Northwood at Seaforth game. So get on board X. If you don't know how to use it, find somebody who does and get onto that. We'll also talk about the fact that you've got videos available that you can watch as well if you can't make it out to the game. And then we'll talk about the games that Ashibo and I are going to be on or at starting tonight. So let me get rid of this, hide that. And there's Mr. Ashibo. And let's start rocking and rolling with the basketball scene here in Chatham County. Ashibo, why don't you go ahead and let folks know what's going on in basketball in Chatham County?
Yeah, so just starting with this week, I mean, we had two big games between Seaforth and Southeast Alamance, both on the boys and girls side of things. Boys side, that was a top four game in the conference between the Hawks and the Stallions. And that one, Seaforth fell 56-43 to Southeast Alamance. And I talked to Coach Berry earlier today about that game. And, they really slowed it down, kind of like how Coach Berry likes to do against some really good teams in the conference. They did it against Chatham Central, slowed them down. They got it to where it was 18-18, I think, at halftime. And if you guys have watched Southeast Alamance this year, that's very unlike them because they like to go up and down the court, score a lot of points, and kind of run you out the gym. So they got to slow down right where they wanted to, but the second half, Southeast Alamance did find a way to speed that game up. They got a lead on Seaforth and didn't really look back there and won that one by 13 points. And then on the girls' side, too, we can go ahead and talk about that girls' game because that was a big one. Top two teams in the conference between Seaforth and Southeast Alamance. And back and forth, Katie Leonard hit some big threes early on in the game to keep Seaforth in it. But then the Hawks settled in. Just like I said, back and forth with Southeast Alamance. That's a really good team the Stallions have. And they only held them to 48 points in a pretty low-scoring game for both teams. Both teams usually are getting up to 60, almost 70 night, and Seaforth won that one 51-48 at the end after some pretty good late-game execution there. So Seaforth, the girls get the big win. The boys drop another conference game. They're just 3-2 in the conference, though, and still have a positive record there. But for the rest of the boys, we had some games between Chatham Central and Cedar Ridge. Chatham Central beat Cedar Ridge 56-41 last night. And in that one, Reed Albright, 16 points, 10 rebounds, another double-double for him this year. And then Brendan Oldham was right behind him with 15 points and 8 rebounds. And then Jordan Matthews got their third win of the year over Bartley Yancey, 46-35 last night as well. And then we had some pretty big wins from Northwood overcoming 63-32. And in that one, Cam Fowler had another 20-point game to add on his long list of 20-point games this season. And then Chatham Charter, big one over Triangle Math and Science, 82-36 on Tuesday night. And in that one, Brendan Lavelle, 18 points, 14 rebounds for him, another double-double. Gabe McCoy, he's back in the lineup for the Knights after missing some time this season. He poured in 15 points as well. So big win for Chatham Charter there. And in Woods Charter, They got a close one over Carolina Friends. Won that game 53-51 on Tuesday night. Alden Phelps had 16 points. Bhuvanesh Senthil, hopefully I'm saying that right, had 15 points in that one as well. So big games from those two to help Woods Charter get their 5th win of the season. I think they're 5-4 after that game. And just to run down the rest of the girls this week. Cedar Ridge got the best of Chatham Central in a close one, 36-33 last night. And then last night, Jordan Matthews actually got a forfeit win over Bartlett Yancey. And then on Tuesday night games, once again, Chatham Charter won pretty big over Triangle Math and Science, 41-30. And then Woods Charter, huge win over Carolina Friends, 43-7. And they were led by Wesley Oliver. And that one, she scored 19 points. So, yeah, like Gene said, plenty of basketball these past 2 days. Tonight, we have some big ones. Tomorrow, we have some big ones. It's just been a really, really entertaining week of basketball here in the county. And, yeah, that just takes me into – Gene, you want to go ahead and talk about these power rankings?
Yeah, let's talk about the power rankings. But before we get into it, just want to remind folks, last week we were talking about the fact that there are going to be some big inter-county games. And, again, you got the games tonight, which is going to be Seaforth against Northwood. Again, they're about 6 miles apart from each other, so that's going to be a big game. And then you've got games coming up tomorrow. Now, it's going to be Chatham Central is supposed to come over to Northwood. They're moving that up till 4 o'clock. Ashibo and I will check with Cameron Vernon this afternoon, this evening, because I'll be up front. My concern is that depends on when that winter storm's supposed to come in. If it comes in early enough on Friday, they may postpone that game to another date, but it all depends. And as you folks know, hey, weather forecast around here in the Piedmont change from hour to hour. So we will let you know about that. Again, follow Ashibo on R38 on X. If you're not doing it, you're missing out on a whole bunch because Ashibo's doing stuff that the previous reporters at Chatham News and Record were not doing. So he's there. And the other neat thing is after the games, he usually is able to get a coach to talk to him and also 1 or 2 or 3 players. So that's definitely an addition and a bonus that you're getting from Ashibo. So don't just pick up the paper, but also follow him on X. So anyway, after that spiel, let's talk about the power rankings because everyone, whether you agree or disagree, they're looking forward to Ashibo's power rankings. So Ashibo, give us the rundown of your power rankings. Let's start. Do you want to start off with the boys or do you want to start off with the girls?
Let's start off with the boys. Right. And of course, these power rankings are from the week of December 30th and through the new year after we had that completed week last week. So this is after Northwood. They won the South Granville Holiday Invitational with the win over South Granville, 63-56. And then Chatham Central also came out of the break with some wins. And not every team played last week. So, but this is just based off of last week's slated games and what we've had so far this season. So week of December 30th, power rankings for the boys at 6. I have Jordan Matthews at 5. I have Chatham Charter, 4 Woods Charter, 3 Seaforth, 2 Chatham Central, and at the 1 spot, I have the Northwood Chargers as the best as the best team in the county this year. So, Gene, what do you think of the power rankings?
I definitely would agree with your power rankings. Woods has shown a little bit of spunk this year compared to last year. Now, let me ask you this question. You've got Northwood as number 1, Chatham Central as number 2, and Seaforth as number 3. All right. What happens? And we're going to toss out the scenario. What if Seaforth beats Northwood tonight and Chatham Central beats Northwood tomorrow?
Well, I mean, if you ask me, those teams would move up. I mean, they've proven they can beat Northwood. And I mean, to me, Northwood has looked kind of like in its own class a little bit compared to the rest of the county. Because we saw a close game between Chatham Central and Seaforth. Seaforth, like we said, slowed them down. Got them to play their style of basketball and almost came out with an upset in that game. But Northwood, I mean, they've been playing some really good competition this year, winning big over some good teams, and even in their losses, coming up short to some really good teams. I think to Washington and then a Green Level as well. So, I mean, the Chargers are just a really deep team. Of course, we know what Cam Fowler can do. Like we said, almost 20 points a night if he's not over it officially. And Chad Graves also just a big body down low that can rebound, that can defend, that can score. I mean, they're just a really deep team that's going to be really hard to beat, not just within the conference in the county, but also when we look at the whole scale, the whole landscape of the 2A East classification. So if one of these teams, Chatham Central, Seaforth, do knock off Northwood, I mean, of course, they'll be in that same conversation. But as of right now, I just think Northwood they're playing really good basketball, considering, this is the year after Drake Powell and, the star power he had to come out, respond this year with some of those same guys that were on that team and some new additions. They haven't really missed a step to me this year.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And the thing is, I think what also helped Northwood is they played in that Phenom tournament that was at Northwood. And if you looked at the and not only in the conference they're in right now, they were in the top 15 in the area. So they're definitely strong. And I think also one of the things that was a nice thing about the Phenom basketball conference is that Phenom group is followed by a lot of folks. And I think from that tournament, they highlighted Cam, they highlighted Chad, they highlighted Bo, they highlighted. I think they highlighted 4 of the 5 starters from that game. So again, they're there. I think Seaforth, if they have a chance to beat Northwood, this is going to be their best opportunity tonight because they're playing at home. Do I think they're going to beat Northwood? No, but I think it's going to be an interesting game. And I think the game on tomorrow between Chatham Central and Northwood is also going to be an interesting game because Chatham Central just has, whenever they play one of the county teams, they always have that tendency to stick around till the end. They may not win the game, but they definitely give the other team a great bit of competition. Plus, you got Albright. I mean, he's their top player right now, and I know talked to his mom when they played Seaforth, and she's really proud of how he's doing. And in fact, she's also proud of how her other son's doing as well. So. That's going to be interesting. Oh, the other thing I want to let folks know that if you're at the game tonight, the Northwood and Seaforth game, I've still got some of these wristbands. Come out and see me. Don't do it while I'm taking pictures. I'll give you one of those if I have any. I do have some left. And then tomorrow when Chatham Central's playing at Northwood, I also will have some Chatham Central bands, and those are, of course, are red. These are green, and the Seaforth ones are purple. They're not quite the maroon color. So, yeah, there you go. Number 6. Well, you don't have a number 6. You've got Jordan Matthews and Chatham Charter tied for 5. Is that right?
Well, we have Jordan Matthews at 6.
Oh, you got Jordan Matthews at 6. Okay. Then Chatham Charter, then Woods, then Seaforth, Chatham Central, and then Northwood. All right, folks, that's your power ranking for this week. If you agree, fine. If you disagree, fine too. Just go ahead and post it in the bottom in the Facebook or on X. You can make your comments and tell us why you think that's not the correct order. All right, let's get into the girls. What's your power ranking for the girls this week? From last week.
Yeah, so from last week, and once again, just preface this, we also had Northwood making it all the way to that championship game in the First Bank Charger Classic and losing to a really good Union Pines team by less than 10 points. Like we said, also Chatham Central played some games last week and got a big win too. So our rankings from last week: at 6, I have Jordan Matthews. At 5, I have Woods Charter. At 4, I have Chatham Charter. At 3, I have Chatham Central. 2 is Northwood, and number 1, I have Seaforth. And Gene, once again, looking at these power rankings, what do you think? Do you have any interesting questions, any interesting scenarios with the girls' power rankings?
All right. Well, let's talk about tonight's game. What if Northwood beats Seaforth? Now, my feeling is it's going to be kind of like Seaforth's playing at home, so it's going to be tougher for Northwood because Seaforth's crowd will be out tonight. So what's your feeling of, again, what if Northwood beats Seaforth tonight?
Same thing. I feel like Northwood, they'll have that proven win to jump Seaforth, of course, in the prior rankings. And just talking about that game, I know leading into the season, I mentioned that Northwood, to keep an eye on them because I was thinking maybe they could give Seaforth a run for their money this year with the roster they had. But I mean, Seaforth has pretty much been on a mission this year since losing that first game to Apex Friendship. They haven't lost since. And then, of course, they survived Southeast Alamance at Southeast Alamance, probably going to be one of their toughest games all year. And, of course, Northwood is still going to be a tough matchup. This is a rivalry game. Northwood is still a very good basketball team. But it also depends on, who Northwood has available. If Natalia Whitaker is back, that would be huge for the Chargers because she's been out for some time. But I don't know. I think Seaforth still wins this game tonight because, I mean, they've just been playing really well together. Camille Roselle has been finding her groove down low. Of course, Gabby White, she's been really comfortable just leading the attack, being aggressive, just going downhill. And then they're really trusting each other, passing the ball with Katie Leonard hitting threes outside, Peyton Collins as well. I mean, just a really well-coached, well-oiled basketball team. And then playing at their place tonight, especially after that big win against Southeast Alamance, I think Seaforth will be really pumped up to finish this tough week on a strong note. But like we said, Northwood's a really tough team, well coached as well. They have the big bodies down low and the Glover twins, City Ballard, and some of their other forwards. I mean, depending on how they approach Seaforth and how they attack Seaforth, they could make this an interesting game. Kind of like we saw last year, when the two teams played, they always gave their all in those games, even though they fell short in those two regular season games. But of course, they came back and won in the conference championship. So, I think we do get a good game between these two tonight. But like I said, I think Seaforth comes out on top. They've just been too hot this season, and really on a mission towards not just winning the conference tournament championship, but also, we all know they have their eyes set on state finals, state Final Four, and state championship.
Yeah, I was definitely going to agree with you. I think Seaforth and the girls is similar to Northwood and the boys, where they're both up here, and then hate to say that to the other folks, but then there's a drop to that second level. And you've mentioned this several times, and I think it's important. Seaforth's got their eye on going back to the championship game. I think last year you and I were at the championship game over there in Winston-Salem. I think they didn't quite get into sync because it's the first time that they've been there. They got overpowered by a team, and I think one of the starters on that team's actually gone on to play in the ACC, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, they've got a lot of going for them. So then my next question is, all right, on Friday, Chatham Central is going to come to play Northwood. What's your sense on that game?
Oh, yeah, I think Northwood will take that game. Chatham Central, kind of like Seaforth basketball, Seaforth's boys a little bit, right? I mean, you have the two top teams that you have to get over with Seaforth, and I guess in the girls' case, it's Seaforth, Southeast, and Northwood. And Chatham Central is kind of right there in the middle, just right under them, where they're not quite as good as those teams this year, but they're not really a pushover compared to some of the other teams in the conference. So I think Chatham Central will give Northwood a competitive game to start as well. But I think Northwood, with the talent, their size, I think it might just be too much for Chatham Central, which is, they have a smaller team that, because they're smaller, they like to get up and down the court as well. They like to press you. They like to force you into turnovers. So as long as Northwood, takes care of the basketball and kind of fend off Chatham Central's pessiness on defense and out rebound down low as well, because Carolee Dotson, she's one of the best rebounders in the county. I think they'll take care of Chatham Central tomorrow.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you on that. I mean, we saw Chatham Central play against Seaforth, and Seaforth just overpowered Chatham Central. I don't think that's going to be quite the case with Northwood, but I think Northwood has more tools to win the game than Chatham Central. But again, the Chatham Central teams, both the girls and boys teams, play tough, so it should be an interesting game tomorrow night at Northwood. And I think they're going to start off. It's supposed to be a 4-quad. You're going to start off with 4 o'clock with the JV teams, and then you get into the varsity teams later on. So, folks, if you're not doing anything today, tomorrow, go on out and you can see some good county basketball. And I think in both situations, I know probably in the boys' situation tonight and tomorrow, you're going to see some some players that are going to be continuing playing in the college level and as well. And I think if I'm not mistaken, Gabby's already committed to play somewhere next year, hasn't she? Seaforth.
Yep, Gabby's headed to
Yep,
Virginia.
there you go. So it's an opportunity to see local kids doing well playing ball, and some of them going on to play in college, and some of them may not go on to play with college, and that's fine. But again, usually when you got two county schools going against each other, it gets pretty competitive. And it's a chance for you to sit next to some neighbors from the other part of the county and rib each other as to how good your teams are. All right, the paper comes out today. Comes out every Thursday. Ashibo, what stories do you got coming out in the paper today?
Yeah, so this week we have the two stories from Seaforth's wins over Northwood, the boys and girls. Of course, Seaforth's girls got the big 55-9 victory in that one. They pretty much ended that game in the first quarter. And then the boys kind of the same thing, got to a hot start and routed Northwood after the girls finished up. So stories from those games. Of course, we have our usual winter sports roundup with all of our basketball scores, conference standings, and power rankings. And then, of course, our other sports as well, wrapping up what they did during the week as far as wrestling, indoor track, and sometimes swimming when we do have meets. And then kind of another big story, another installation into our youth football series, just taking a deep dive into the youth football landscape in the county. And of course, you guys remember the first one was just the introduction, just introducing what the youth football landscape looks like in the county, and what I kind of wanted to get into in these series of stories. The second one, we're talking about Chatham Central filling their youth football void, talking about what happened with the West Chatham Bears that was once the feeder in the youth football program for Chatham Central, and how that fell apart, and what in plans now with Coach Darren Little at the high school and Steven Sillon Jr. Also at Chatham Central. They're working on putting together another league with a new focus on higher competition development as far as football and providing that bridge between kind of like the middle school and not playing from middle school to high school. They're trying to start up a new program for the Chatham Central area and for those boys to kind of help build a feeder for the high school for years to come. So there's more details on that as well in that story. And then tomorrow, well, it's in the paper now, but it will hit online tomorrow. We'll have just a quick story, just talking about some of the best, the top storylines going into this year for the sports scene in the county, as far as teams to look forward going into the state finals, as well as a little bit of a preview of teams to look for in girls soccer, baseball, and softball. So, yeah, that's what we have in this week's paper. Now, Gene, you ready to go into Athlete of the Week?
Yes, we are ready to go into Athlete of the Week. I'm actually, it's going to come out as you're going to say it, and then it's going to come out as a caption on the bottom of the page because Ashibo told me who was going to be before we started. So, all right.
Yeah, so this week's Athlete of the Week is Chloe Scott from the Chatham Central girls basketball team. She earns it this week for her big game against Cummins last week on Friday, where Chatham Central won that one 62-16. In that game, Chloe Scott scored 21 points. That's her season high, and she swiped 3 steals in that one. And then, just more about her. I mean, she's been key offensive contributor for the Bears this year alongside Carolee Dodson, and really, really anchoring that front court for the Bears. And she's got 4 games with double-digit scoring outputs this year. And, of course, defensively, like we said, 3 steals in that game. She's been huge for them and what they want to do this year. So congrats, Chloe, and the Chatham Central girls basketball team on another Athlete of the Week, because I think we had Carolee earlier this year. Just some pretty good individual performances from their team this year.
Yep. Congratulations, Chloe. Hey, pick up a paper, cut out the article, and put it up on your refrigerator and go ahead and save it. I mean, I still have stuff from the paper from my kids from their glory days playing high school sports. All right, that kind of covers what you've got in the paper. That's out there. You can pick that up if you're not a subscriber. There's probably places you can pick it up locally. I actually picked up a hard copy last week because there were pictures in there of mine from the end of year wrap up. All right, let's get into, of course, there's other sports going on besides basketball. We've got high school wrestling, swimming, and indoor track. Let's talk about high school wrestling because that's being pretty active right now, and Northwood's doing pretty well. Chatham County, Northwood is doing pretty well, but Seaforth seems to be on a run to do really well again this year. So why don't we go into wrestling? Go ahead.
Yeah, so last night I went to Chatham Central. I had a try meet with Northmore and Northwood, and just running out some scores from last night. So we had Northmore beating Chatham Central 45-29, and then Northwood also beat the Bears 54-30. And then Northwood came out, of course, on top with 2 wins from the meet, with a 41-39 win over Northmore. Of course, some of these duels were affected by some forfeits that gave some wins and some free points away. But yeah, I mean, Northwood, of course, their leader Elijah Farrell at 165. He did what he was supposed to do yesterday with two big wins in his duels. And then Chatham Central, they're missing some people. Northwood's also missing some people as the teams get back acclimated to the season after the winter break. So it's a little bit shorthanded rosters last night, but they still got some good wrestling in and getting ready for that conference tournament in 2 weeks. I think that's going to be on January 25th. I think that's a Saturday when the whole conference gets together. And yeah, Seaforth also wrestled last night away at a tri meet. They went up against Graham and won 72-6, and then they beat Covington 77-0. So continuing their dominance in the conference play. I think that puts them at 7-0 in the conference this year in duels. Northwood, with their 2 wins, I think that puts them at 5-3 in the conference. And then Chatham Central falls to 5-4, if I'm not mistaken, in the conference with those dual results last night. So, yeah, I talked to Coach Silhan at Chatham Central and also Tony Chambly with Northwood. And, yeah, I mean, they're looking forward to the conference tournament and getting their guys ready for that because, of course, we know Seaforth is going to be ready for that. They're looking for another big year as they go in and try to repeat what they did last year, winning the individual the individual team state championship. But, of course, we know they want that another chance at that dual state championship that they lost so close last year. So, yeah, I mean, that was the wrestling wrap up from last night and a little bit of what to look forward to in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I was going to say Seaforth's definitely the premier wrestling high school in the county right now. They've got a lot of guys that came back from last year. You and I have covered several of the wrestling events last year, and they came on strong last year. And again, I think they only had 1 or 2 graduations, so they've got a lot of guys that have come back, and they've gotten stronger, bigger, and better. So, yeah, keep an eye on Seaforth Wrestling for the rest of the season. Don't be surprised if you see them winning a bunch of conference and end-of-year awards. All right, what's going on with swimming?
Actually, so we didn't have any swimming meets from last week, so we didn't have any updates in swimming, but we do have some pretty decent updates in indoor track from last week. They had the JDL Fast Run Invitational on Saturday. Will Quickie from Seaforth finished first in the boys 1,000 meter run. And then, of course, Jack Anstrom, he finished first in the boys 3,200 meter run. I think Jack Anstrom came in with a time of 9 minutes, 39.83 seconds. And then Seaforth's girls did pretty well with Emily Jump earning a 10th place finish in the girls 1,000 meter run as one of their top finishers from the meet. And then Chatham Charter also also with some runners in that event. They had Taurus Price running a 4-minute, 40-second, 1,600 meter, which beat his PR, and he also qualified for the 1A, 2A state championships with that time. And Price also got a PR in the 1,000 meter run with a time of 2 minutes and 53 seconds. So Some good things for Chatham Charter. Adam Reese was also in that race for the Knights as well. So yeah, good things for Chatham Charter. And Seaforth in the indoor track meet from Saturday. Of course, their postseason is coming up pretty soon. More championship opportunities, especially for Jack Anstrom and Will Quickie, who'll be looking to repeat what they did last year with their state championships in this sport. So yeah, and that's also another thing I mentioned in the story on the top storylines to watch is, to watch Jack Anstrom, Will Quickie, and pretty much all Seaforth track during the indoor track season, and of course the start and end of the outdoor track season, because I'm sure we're going to see some more state championships be won from their program this year with what they had coming back from last year.
I know several weeks ago in the print paper you had posted, you had done several athletes, Chatham County athletes that gone on to play and participate in college sports. Have you heard anything as to whether anyone from on the track side in Chatham County schools has got anything or has committed or has any idea as to if they're going to compete on the college level?
I have not heard. I may have heard some things, but I don't have it on top of my head right now. Yeah, I have to go back and look.
That's fine. Sometimes we hear things that we're asked not to divulge because there's a whole lot of stuff going on. So yeah, that's fine. But yeah, if you look, folks, if Ashibo finds something concrete, he will let you know. So, and is that it for indoor track?
Yes, that was for indoor track. That's still going on, and like I said, I think their state championships and regionals will be coming up pretty soon.
All right. I'm going to touch on something. This was on the agenda. I put it on here, and I'll tell you why I put it on here. I had a parent reach out to me last week. Hey, how come you guys aren't covering such and such, and can we get more coverage? Just want to let folks know that you can, and I'm gonna put this caption up because I just want to remind folks that if you follow on X, you follow Ashibo R38, you're going to have information that's, Ashibo's going to write about it. It's going to show up in the print paper on Thursday, but you're also going to find out about it sooner. For example, tonight's game, I will bet, and I'm not going to put words in Ashibo's mind, but you're probably going to be doing some stuff after each one of the varsity games, aren't you? Yeah. So if you're following Ashibo on Ashibo R38, 38 was his old high school football number. You will see that he will post videos of interviews that he does after the games with several players and the coaches. So definitely stay on to that. The other thing I wanted to remind folks is that I used to just take pictures, but a few years ago, I really started doing a lot of video. I don't have time to do a bunch of editing, but I did go into the YouTube channel, and it's Gene Photo, and there's a playlist on there where you will find 2024 Chatham NC sports video clips. There's over 411 Chatham Central sports video clips that are on there. So again, you can watch a lot of Chatham centric games. You can read about it in the paper that Shiva writes about it. You can also go back in there and see videos. Also want to remind folks, what you're watching right now, we have a copy of each one of these live broadcasts that is saved on YouTube. So if you can't watch this on Facebook, just go onto YouTube. There is a chapter, and I'll put up graphics next time because I want to talk about this some more. You will see that it says live. If you click on that live thing, you can go back and you can watch any one of these episodes that we've done since we started doing this. And again, media has changed. Ashibo is not only writing, he's on X, and he's also doing this live stream once a week, which you don't get in a whole lot of other counties. So folks, take advantage of the fact that you've got Ashibo. He's writing, he's Xing or tweeting, and he's also out there doing this live stream every month. I also want to thank 79 West for letting me use their podcast room here. Also want to say, hey, if anyone wants to sponsor this, reach out to me. Let me know. We'll get a sponsorship. We'll let folks know you support it. As I mentioned last couple of weeks, we've gotten over 1,000 viewers watch this on online, and they're not. Most of you guys are not watching this live right now. I'm seeing that there's 18 of you watching this live, but again, by next Wednesday, we'll have 1,000 of you watching. And thank you so much. Some of you come up, and I know this is particularly true during football season. Ashibo and I may be standing over there by the track or by the field, and there's people saying, "Hey, thanks, Ashibo, for doing this." So. Again, we're just trying to get the information out there. Technology's changed. It's not like it's not your daddy's newspaper anymore, and you just got to get the information out there. So I just want to let them know. And then the last thing we usually finish up is, where are we going to be this following week? So, Shiba, where are you going to be starting tonight? Where are you going to be?
Well, of course, tonight I'm going to be at Seaforth for the games against Northwood. But of course, tomorrow I will be at Northwood for the basketball games with Chatham Central. So, like we said, plenty of big intercounty games tonight and tomorrow night for basketball. And like Gene said, thank y'all for watching, following us week in and week out. We enjoy putting out content about the great athletes we have in this county. They deserve the recognition, and we want to make sure they keep getting recognized for the great things they do on and off the court and the field. So, just appreciate you guys supporting us. Appreciate the coaches for letting us have access to the teams and the athletes and themselves, because really couldn't do it without you guys. So, yeah.
And speaking about the coaches, I want to thank Coach Little, and I want to thank Coach Barry for joining us here on the live stream. If there's other coaches, look, just reach out and say, hey, we want to come on. We want to talk. We're not going to grill you too hard. But it's an opportunity for you to tell your story. And the other thing, too, coming in next fall, you got the preseason football day coming up. And we tried doing that with basketball, and it landed up as Sheba went out there and talked to each one of the basketball coaches. So, again, for the folks that have been around for a while, Ashibo's taken a step above where we've been the last few years, and I personally, as a Chatham County resident, appreciate what he's doing. So if you see him, just say thanks. I think somebody still owes you a burger from a football game that they said they were going to get you. And I haven't forgotten that until you get your burger. All right. Anything else before we finish up here?
No, I think we got it all covered for the week.
All right, folks, we will see you next Thursday. But if you can't wait till next Thursday to see what happens with the games tonight, tomorrow, come out for those games. And if you're not able to make it, just follow Ashibo on X on Ashibo R38, and he'll give you the lowdown.